Hi, I'm Ben Pindar. I'm a PR account manager with Red Stag Media, and in this latest video I'm going to be talking about how to write an agribusiness blog. So with blogs have been around 20 years now, and a really interesting stat I discovered was that 409 million people around the world are reading blogs every day, which gives you an idea of just how relevant they are to your business and how powerful and useful they are in terms of actually reaching out to your customers. Blogs are proven to be extremely cost effective and, as I've said, very powerful. They're proven to change behaviour and ultimately win the business. Now, in another video I talked about why content marketing is important, but I thought it'd be useful just to do a very quick overview of really what the benefits of a blog are. So with blogs, the ultimate goal is about being found. Everybody's going onto Google to search the problems, look what they need to buy, find what they need in terms of solutions to the challenges they face every day. A blog will get you found on Google. The blog will drive more visitors to your website, which hopefully starts to bring into more business, obviously. It'll generate some quality new business leads. It helps to build relationships with customers and grow relationships with existing customers, and that's about building loyalty into your customer base, so they'll keep coming back to you for your expertise and understanding and insights into how they can overcome their problems and how you can provide the solutions. So it's also about educating people about what your offer is, but ultimately it's about winning business, and that's what blogs are about. They're constantly driving people into the funnel through your channel, showing your expertise and turning that into sales. So to go back to the beginning, I suppose, what's a good agri blog? I think one of the biggest challenges I've faced, and I've done blogs with different organisations across the UK and internationally from every profession you can think of, and the most common problem I see is fear. People are worried about how they put themselves out there. They think it's going to be too personal, they're going to reveal too much, or they're scared of sharing opinion. But what a good blog is about is helping customers. You're going out there and you're providing some really helpful advice and insights, sharing your expertise. You know, you are the expert at what you do, so share it with them. In doing that, you're helping to position your business. What you need to be doing is asking, how does it help? What's the reader thinking? But make sure it aligns with your business needs. Don't fall into the trap of just writing about everyday experiences or anything like that. Think very carefully about how it's going to actually deliver on your business goals as well. So what should your blog be about? That's probably the second question I always get asked. And that is very much about finding your voice. Blogs need to be conversational. They're not info dumps in very technical terms. It's got to feel like you're actually talking to a human. And the key to that is using simple words. You don't want to try and write war and peace and using the biggest words you can find in the lexicon. It doesn't have to be Proust or Hemingway, and it doesn't have to be about inverted triangles. Refer to one of our earlier videos for that. What you really need to be thinking about doing is looking at what questions. The one thing I go back to everybody about is what questions are your customers asking, because that's what they're searching for on Google. So when you're going out to client meetings, scribble down on a note of what that question your client asks, what's the big challenges they're facing, because you can provide the answers. Also look at what you're reading, because quite often what you're finding interesting and what you're reading, your customers are going to find that interesting too. So it's a great way to draw out some inspiration. The key thing with all of this, when you're actually looking about what it should be about, is identifying keywords, and keywords are king across all of this exercise, because keywords go back to what Google's looking for, and that's how you get found. My colleague Rob will be doing a variety of videos around keywords and making sure you can be found, so they're worth looking up too. But really, what the blog needs to be about is showing you are the expert. As I've said, you're the expert on what you do, and this blog will give you a chance to prove that. Show your experiences, show your insights, and demonstrate that you are the industry expert in this field, and everybody needs to be coming to you. So, what next? Seductive headlines. A seductive headline is something that's going to make you want to click on it and read it. You'll have seen them everywhere. You get bombarded with them. It's 10 ways to find out this. It's the only way you'll ever win in business is by doing this. And I don't mean to go right down the clickbait route, but it goes back to those key questions. Think about how that question was phrased. More often than not, that's going to be the most seductive way, because that's the problem your customer's facing. So think very carefully about how you phrase that headline, what's actually going to make someone click on it and read it. And then obviously grab their attention. As I've said, the content needs to be simple, conversational, but it's got to be impactful and grab them. Again, as I said, people are reading 409 million blogs a day, so why should it be yours? In those first few sentences, make sure it's very clear about what you're going to be explaining and why it's worth reading that blog. So going into the blogging basics, and this is really just sort of the key elements of what you need to include in a blog. So to begin with everything, I've already mentioned keywords, and I've said keywords are hugely important, as again, look at Rob's videos because that's all he talks about. But if you focus on those questions and the keywords, that's the key thing. So go back to those key questions, identify the questions your customers are asking, what are the keywords in those questions, and make a note of them. Next, create a plan. Blogging is about consistency and frequency, which I will come to, but create an editorial calendar, come up with a list of topics and titles that you're going to write about, and plan it out over a series of weeks, because you want to try and build some momentum around the blog, make sure it's seen and heard and it's seen as valuable, and again that it's being found. And by doing that, you're going to ensure that Google's spotting you and sees you as an authority. As I've said, be consistent and frequent. Consistency is more about the brand. Make sure you stay on brand. If you're talking about a particular type of problem or issue that you are able to solve, stay with it. Don't be tempted to stray off to the Bastille concert you went to last week. Just stick with your core of expertise. Become known for the expert in what you do. And frequency, this is quite an important aspect. The idea is you want to be blogging fairly regularly. It doesn't have to be every week, but make sure you're doing it at a reasonably rough schedule, because that way those that are really engaging with your content and are finding it useful and interesting, they'll know when to expect it as well. As I've said, make it informal. It's not about a technical document, which is often the case in agriculture, that because there's very complex products, it has to be fairly heavily detailed. Make it informal. It's got to be conversational, as I've said. It's got to be in your voice. So show your personality. Don't be afraid to have a little bit of fun with it, and hopefully you've seen a little bit of my personality in this video, and that's the idea behind a blog as well. It's bringing you out of it as well, because as you become the expert, you're becoming the thought leader. They want to be able to see the person behind that voice. Length. This can be a constant source of debate. Here at Red Stag Media, we aim for about 1,200 to 1,500 words. But the general rule of thumb is you've got to be going a little bit further than what your competitors are doing. If someone's writing 750 words, look to write 1,000. It makes you more authoritative on the subject, and Google will start to trust you more. So that's the idea, is show authority. Go that bit further. Rob gives a great example, and he may well talk about in one of his future videos, where there's a blog that's 16,000 words long and it's got lots of different subheadings and paragraphs and things like that. But it is a hefty blog, but it's ranking very highly because it's a very in-depth subject, and they're providing lots of insights and information and evidence behind it as well, which I will come to. Subheadings and backlinks. Subheadings are really important. One, it helps to break up the content to make it more digestible and easier for the reader to understand. But the other aspect is it's a great way of getting more of these keywords and questions in. What I'll quite often do with my subheadings is pull out some of the different questions that I've identified around the key subject and use those as subheadings as well. Helps with the searchability, makes it much more pleasant to read, and it pulls out the key elements for people to engage with. So with links, and the idea behind this is it's linking out of your blog into other useful resources. So if your blog's talking about specific subjects or different, I'm trying to think of other problems or experiences, don't be afraid to link out to that content, because it could be very useful to the reader. As I've said right at the beginning, how does it help your reader? If you can link out to something that's going to be useful to them, do that. Make sure it actually goes out there and they've got a bit more value. They know they can keep coming back to you for all of the resources and insights they need. Great image, I think that speaks for itself. It's something you'll see across all content. A great image speaks 1,000 words. If you've got a fantastic image, it will catch somebody's attention and they will want to click on it and go even deeper. So a great image coupled with a seductive headline is a winning combination. Next, share. Ideally, make your blog shareable so people can just click a button and share it out to their network straight away. But if not, also make sure you're promoting it and pushing it out there yourself. Subscribe, it's another option that you can include in your blog, and it's a great way to stay in contact with your customers. create an option just for them to subscribe, and every time you upload a new blog, they'll get an email linking them back to it. Another great element of that subscription idea is to, once you start to build up that database of subscribers, is it gives you something you can reach out to periodically, maybe once a month, send out an email newsletter that's got the latest blogs included in it and any other useful insights you've found from across the industry. It might be useful reading, some company news, anything that's not necessarily just blog related, but you're actually adding some value to that email database. Not only are they going to be getting some company news and offers, they're also getting some great insights and experiences from you. Right, and finally, and possibly most importantly, is measure. And the best way to do this is through Google Analytics, but you can do it through a number of other channels. I'm sure at some point we'll be looking at how best to measure using tools like Google Analytics, but this is really about looking at how your blog's landing. Is it driving visitors to your website? Is it resonating with your audience? Are you seeing different people sharing and talking about it? What you need to be doing is actually making sure this blog is delivering what you hope it's delivering. It's starting to generate a bit of noise, draw people towards you, and starting to build that engagement. If it isn't, adapt. Don't abandon it. It's a great and powerful tool, as I've said. Just tweak how you're actually positioning your messages. Maybe it's a slightly different question you need to be going back to. Find out what it is that your customers really want to hear about you, because you are the expert and this is a great way to do it. So adapt and change it and keep measuring again. So looking at style, I think of blogs, this is just to go in a little bit deeper just about how you'd structure a blog as well. So blogs are about the top of the funnel. Rob again has spoken about this in one of his other videos, but the top of the funnel is about people with a problem and they're looking for a solution. So a blog is an ideal way to do this. You are providing some insights and some information about how other people have overcome this problem, how you have dealt with the problem yourself in the past, and drawing on your experiences and providing that advice. So remember that blogs aren't a sales tool. They're about changing behaviour, buying that advice, building those relationships and drawing people in and building a trust between you. So to actually bring the structure in, develop that hook, and that's something we've talked about in terms of grabbing their attention and understanding the questions they're asking. So create that hook. You've got the question, you know that's what they're searching for. Now grab their attention and draw them in about how you're going to deliver it. Next, expose the problem. So that's really starting to explore the nature of the question. Think about how the farmer's coming across this problem. Explore what the impacts are going to be, how it could cascade into more of a greater issue. Really dig into the different elements of that problem and really the impact it has across all of those different channels. And then obviously you've exposed the problem, next move into delivering the solution. And this is really your time to shine. This is about how you share your expertise. You draw into those insights and those experiences that we've discussed and show how these issues can be overcome. Next down though, make sure you provide evidence. Don't just make bold claims about whether it's your product or your individual expertise. Actually provide some examples, and by creating an example, you're bringing it to life. It's something I do with a lot of media training that I've done over the years. I always say, for example. It's the key word. The minute you say, for example, you can bring it to life in a real world situation, and that makes a big difference. It really helps to add weight to what you're saying and makes it far more engaging and interesting to read. And finally, finish it with a call to action, and that's about get in touch. Here's where you can find more information. Here's our latest product. Whatever that call to action needs to be, make sure you're asking them to take that one step further to build that relationship and start to engage more with the business. And the most important bit, the next step, publish it. It's amazing how many people will agonise over content, how they make it absolutely perfect. It's postponed for perfection is a phrase I've seen before. But the key thing is, get the quality out there. You know, take this video for example. I'm hoping it's pretty good, but I'm not aiming for perfection. We're just getting the content out there and making sure it's got some value for our customers. So don't be afraid, get it out there. Get it something where close to where it needs to be. You don't have to chase perfection all the way. Just get it published. So moving on, the next thing is the most common mistakes people make with blogging. And as I've said, don't be too afraid about this. There's not much you can get wrong with a blog. If you're putting quality content out there, it's something that people are going to want to engage with and read and be part of. But what I want to do with this most common mistake, so we start off with don't be an ass, which is don't make any assumptions. I think all too often you get very, as I've said, you're the expert, you get very embedded in your own industries, and then you assume a lot of people outside of that industry will have a great deal of understanding. Don't make those assumptions. Make sure you explain everything in a very simple way. I think the average reading age in the UK is about 11 years old, so make sure you keep it very simple and explain everything out. The next sort of goes on from that, don't use the jargon. You'll have an absolute lexicon of industry jargon within your expertise, and anyone outside of it, it's gibberish. The next one probably takes that a little bit further, is SOAA, and I'll give you a second to try and work out what that stands for. It's spell out all acronyms, and the amount of I've worked in many industries, and every industry has a wealth of acronyms that are utterly impenetrable if you're not within the immediate inner circle. So in the first instance, spell them out in full, and then after that, put it in brackets to make it clear that it's that acronym. Another key mistake is making it too salesy. As I've said, blogs are not a sales tool. They are about changing behaviour, building those relationships with your customers. They've got to be generous. And this is where many people fall down, is they immediately try and go into a sales pitch, and it just starts to feel like an advert and people switch off. So make it generous, try and avoid pushing the sales pitch, just show your expertise within your industry and trust that customers will come to you. And finally, don't make it all about you. It's all too easy to think that people want to read about you. They don't, I'm afraid, and it's a hard truth. What they actually want is your insights. So make sure you're sharing all your experiences and insights. As I've said, provide a solution to the problem. They don't care about you. So show a little bit of personality, but it doesn't have to be about yourself. One of the, I suppose the final or the penultimate piece is a tribute back, a good topical reference back to the 90s soft rock band Extreme. And it's more than words. Think more than actual words. I've talked a lot about how you structure a blog around key topics and things like that, but it doesn't just have to be about words. This is a great example. We're doing a video. Think about podcasts, infographics, anything you can sort of think of along the different lines. It might be that that's something that actually resonates better with your customers. I'd always say include some good copy to go with it. If it's a video, make sure you're maybe including a transcript or a really detailed write up, but think about the best way to reach your customers. It doesn't just have to be about words. And the final thing is commit. And blogs do take effort, they take attention, they take commitment. And by actually investing that time and energy into it, you're going to see some very big rewards. As I said right at the beginning, blogs are very cost effective and they're very powerful. They will start to translate into sales when you put the energy in. Thank you, and I'll see you next time.